air is not healthy, your water is not healthy, your people around you are definitely not healthy.
You are also this fat loss ninja.
I was in massive self-pity mode and self-victimization mode. People should just shut up for a little bit. That's been my motto always.
Hello and welcome to Buzz by the Bay. Our guest today has achieved a lot of success at a young age, but not without facing his fair share of challenges in life. He is a doctor, an entrepreneur, a nutritionist who calls himself the fat loss ninja. Forbes magazine Asia recently included him in their list of 30 under 30. In the studio with us, we have Dr. Siddhant Bhargava, aka Dr. Sid, co-founder of fooddarzee. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. That was such a wonderful introduction.
Really?
Yeah, and you said it in one go. I was like, damn.
I practiced it.
No, thank you so much for having me here. It's a privilege, Free Press Journal. I'm just happy to be here.
I feel I know you. I've never met you before. I feel I know you because I follow you on Instagram. I watch your reels along with, of course, 600,000 other people and growing, I'm sure.
Yes.
So the name fooddarzee, I love it. Who coined it?
It was actually one of my co-founders. So we're 4 co-founders and we were actually all in the same school, but we didn't know each other. And one random evening, I think all of us met and we thought about doing this. And clearly we were little kids, right? I was 21 and a half when I started fooddarzee. I was right out of medicine. Like the day my exams got over, the next day is when we were sitting in the fooddarzee office.
Oh my
so
God.
We kept thinking of a name and we kept repeating to ourselves that we're going to make tailor-made meals. And Anirudh, he suddenly came up with fooddarzee, and then we had to sort of let it sink in because we didn't know whether this kind of a name would actually work, but touch wood, it has. So
It has. Actually, I must tell you that last week, I did order some of your meals. I have ordered them over the last 2 weeks. I wanted to sample them before meeting you in the studio. I'm expecting to lose 2-3 kilos. I'm just telling you
at all.
right now that I will give you an update.
Ask them, does anybody think Anushka needs to lose weight at all? Look
you
at her.
are flattering me. But anyway, tell me, when you first started off, was it just ketogenic diet?
Yes.
It was.
Yeah, so we thought about it and we realized that keto was just coming to India. There were barely any people who were doing it mainstream. And we thought, why not? Because I found it supremely scientific. Like I still stand by keto till today.
You do?
I'm not on keto anymore because of different reasons. But I stand by keto as a supremely scientific diet. Because it's not a fad diet, right? It is probably the most scientific diet out there. Yes, it does have its set of challenges. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's the best diet to follow, but there's nothing wrong with it. Like everything that critics say about it when it comes to, you'll die or you'll get cancer or your liver will stop functioning or your kidneys will, nothing of that sort actually happens. If you do it right, if you've got somebody with you who knows how to do it right, it's beautiful.
Obviously, and the amount of carbs you can have is very little.
It's just fiber, essentially. It's carbs that come in from vegetables, some fruits, yes. Like once you're in keto for long enough, having like a blueberry or a raspberry or a cranberry doesn't really do anything. Like I remember this one time when I was on keto for almost 3 years, and I could go, I could have 1 beer and 2 rotis and still stay in ketosis. So your body adapts.
Why did you get on to keto?
So I think the primary reason was my health, because I think when I was 20 and a half or 21, I got diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called lupus. And there isn't really a cure, right? Like you take medications, you keep your inflammatory markers low. And that's where ketosis came in, because I knew my inflammatory markers were low when I was on keto.
Okay.
And fooddarzee happened at the same time. We made a business out of it. I had to become the foremost spokesperson about keto at that time, and I did, and I loved it.
But so keto really helped you go into remission?
It did. See, I'm not going to be one of those pseudo-scientific people who just come out and say it did 100%, but it did play a major role in making sure that the levels of inflammation in my body were lower than what they were before I was on keto. Right. And then I can leave it up to the people who are listening to this whether they want to do it or not.
So protein intake, obviously we all know that protein intake is important. It's important for fat loss, but how many grams typically? I mean, let's say...
A gram per kg of your body weight.
Alright, so if I weigh 50 kilos, so 50 grams of protein.
Yes, that's the bare minimum.
What do vegetarians do then for their source of protein?
They suffer, but... No, but it's one, vegetarians need to stop considering dal to be a major protein source.
Right.
Once that myth is broken, they'll really start thinking about how much protein they actually get in. So you've got curd, you've got paneer, you've got soybeans, you've got lentils, you've got tofu, you've got tempeh, and you've got whey protein. Stop
Right.
overthinking that, it comes in a box and this and that. I mean, guess what? Your air is not healthy, your water is not healthy, your people around you are definitely not healthy. So why are you complaining about protein coming out from a box?
There's some anecdotal evidence. People say whey isolates can cause stomach cramps,
I mean,
stomach
yeah,
issues,
why not?
this, that.
Being fat causes worse, right? So,
True,
I mean,
true.
people should just shut up for a little bit and just follow, because it's going to take time, right, for them to actually see what happens.
You made this interesting reel on body positivity, right?
Yes.
And that is like the buzzword
Yeah.
these days,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like accepting your body,
Yeah.
like anti-body shaming. Of course, nobody should body shame anyone for any reason. Totally agree. But you are also this fat loss ninja,
Yep.
and you are an obesity specialist as a doctor.
Yeah.
So what do you think of all this body positivity and people posing on Instagram? What do you make of all that? Are they normalizing being obese? Is that a healthy trend?
See, I don't know how provocative I can be right now, but a large part of it is gimmicky, right? Because it works. Because think about it, the number of unhealthy people on the planet are far more than the number of healthy people on the planet. So now, out of the unhealthy people, the ones who are slightly weaker than the others, they want comfort, and body positive influencers give them comfort. They tell them it's okay to be like that. And see, I'm not saying all of them are like that. Like, I recently came across a body positive influencer called Prableen Kaur, and she actually came out and said that, I am a body positive influencer, but I am in no way saying that being unhealthy is good. And I love that, because that's real.
Yeah.
You can be body neutral. For example, I'm not in great shape right now. Like, I'm okay with the way I am right now, but that does not mean I tell people it's okay to be unhealthy.
No, it's okay to be at peace with yourself, but what if that means that you will just accept being unhealthy?
So see, now I'm okay with that, right? Because people are weak, people are strong. I mean,
Right.
if you're fat, if you're unhealthy, if you're obese and you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. But you going out and try to influence others and give them the same weak thought process, that
Right.
is something I'm not okay with.
Right. So in the sense you're saying, okay, maybe these people have tried to get fitter and healthier, but they don't have the willpower or whatever it may
Yeah.
take. So then you take the easy
Yeah,
way out and you say,
seek
okay.
validation from others
Yeah.
who come and tell you, oh my God, you're so beautiful, and it's okay. You are beautiful, but it's not
Yeah.
okay.
Talking about image and stuff, a lot of the stars, a lot of Bollywood stars come to you. I mean,
Yes.
what attracted, them to Food Darzee? Do you provide them meals or do you
Yeah,
consult with
so
them?
it initially started with Food Darzee. I think that was my gateway into, dealing with individuals that come from the Bollywood space. But now it's become more of a consulting kind of a thing.
What about doctors on Instagram and endorsing certain products? I mean, what's your take on that? Do you do paid partnerships?
I do. I have to, right? 'Cause
Right.
who's going to pay for my studio, and who's going to pay for my camera, and who's going to pay for my 10 people team? So
No, I'm not saying anything wrong with that,
Yeah.
but there should be certain guidelines,
Yes.
right? And there has to be certain ethics about
So,
it.
unfortunately, there can't be too many guidelines, because anything that is approved by the FSSAI or the FDA or whatever is the governing body for medicines or supplements, etc. in India, if they've approved it, there's technically nothing wrong with that product.
Right.
So now, for example, I will never promote a testosterone booster, because I genuinely believe it doesn't work. But I don't understand why I should not promote, say, a skincare brand that's come up with a product which is so good that it needs to be out there in the market. We as doctors have always been influencers, right? Why not tell people what's good for them and what's bad for them? And now the argument comes in that if you're being paid for it, you might tell people something
Right.
is good for them when it's not actually good for them, and that's a line you have to draw. And
That's what I
people are
meant,
not
is your
dumb,
own
right?
guidelines, your
It's
own moral
guideline.
compass.
It's your own moral compass, and people have to be smart about it too, right? Like, why do you want to be swayed away by somebody who's inconsistent?
Let's go on to your personal journey. You've had critical health issues, right? And still you're
Yeah.
sitting here looking pretty fit and and healthy, and that's great, touch wood. So at age 9, you develop vitiligo,
Yep.
right? And alopecia.
Yeah.
So are these conditions reversible? Did you?
No, they're not. So I think this it's part of the autoimmune cascade that I have, right? So it started off with that, and for people who are watching, vitiligo is essentially where you start losing color on your skin, and no, that's not why I'm this white. This is just my natural complexion.
color.
But you basically go melanin free on your skin. That's what happened. And alopecia is when you start losing
Yes.
hair on your body. So
But isn't that
happened.
reversible?
I mean, yes and no, because look at me right now. Like, I probably have just a couple of patches of alopecia left on me currently, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen tomorrow. So it's
But you have good hair.
now, and doesn't mean this hair is not treated. Like, I've spent 5-6 years with, I don't know, like 4 transplants and plugs and a lot of treatment, a lot of injections to actually get back your hair, because it means something to you. Like,
It does.
So it has been a journey.
So how did you deal with it at that age? I mean, did your parents help you? I mean, the trauma, what did you
So I think I was too young to understand the trauma then. It got bad when I turned 20 or 21, where things just went from bad to worse.
Right.
So clearly I had autoimmunity in my body, but nobody knew it's going to get develop into like full-blown lupus. Started having loads of joint inflammation in a matter of 20 days. I lost all my hair, my vitiligo was back. And when I say all my hair, I mean all my hair. I was in massive self-pity mode and self-victimization mode, because technically at that point I was a victim. And that's when I chose not to continue with medicine, because I had to go on like immune suppression.
But you did do your MBBS.
I finished it.
Yeah.
I finished it.
In spite of all these challenges, you had to finish it.
You spent so many years and your dream was always to become a doctor.
Yeah.
And I genuinely believe I'm still going to influence and help at least, I don't know, if not like 100 million lives as I grow up, because eventually I'm going to start creating medtech products, and I've already started doing that, which are going to change the way medicine works.
You said you definitely went into the self-pity mode. This was when you were about 20, 21 and you were in the midst of your medical studies.
Yeah.
At that point, that traumatic point, did you ever think that, oh my God, this life is not worth living, or I want to give up on this?
So many times, yeah, so many times. But then
How do you get out of that?
you just tell yourself that it's going to pass. Like, this too shall pass. All you got to do is believe, and that's been my motto always. Because it's not always going to be bad, right?
Right.
I always said that this is all your problems are. That's it. Like, all your problems can be counted on your fingers, and there are people whose problems are innumerable. So why are you crying? Just get up and do something.
I also feel that with mental health, I do feel that maybe on social media, people are also normalizing being depressed.
Yeah.
Very interestingly, you said you overcame your problem by thinking that I can count my problems on one hand. There are people who can't, who will need like their hand, fingers, toes, everything, and still they have more problems than that. So what do you think of that trend? I mean, do you think it's healthy to go on with every little thing to go on about,
I think it might be wrong what I'm saying, but today, in this day and age, I think it's sort of better for people to talk about depression and mental illness, because in some way that's going to benefit the future in a way where if people know about it, it's going to do them better. It's like this, obesity saturated, right? People have been obese for 50 years. People already know what being obese is, what being healthy is. But right now, I don't think people know what being mentally ill means.
So 3 mantras for success.
One mantra is that you have to believe that you can be successful. Now, I wasn't usually a believer of manifestation, but I realized I do it all the time. Like, I keep making these khayali pulaus about what I'm going to do when I have this and that and this and that, and I think about it obsessively, and then I move towards it. So believing that it's possible is number one. 2, you have to tackle problems in your life effectively with the same concept as I always mention, that put them into 2 compartments, whether they're solvable, whether they're not. If they're not, let it go. If they are, do everything that you can. And I think the 3rd mantra to success would be, there's always a long way to go. Okay. Like, don't become full of yourself. Don't feel that this is it because this is not it. And there's always a long way to go. Be humble about it.
So can we have a quick rapid fire round? All right. Some of these may be cheesy, but
I love cheesy.
Okay. Your favorite celebrity client?
Alia Bhatt.
Your favorite cheat meal?
Butter chicken.
Your pet peeve? Homeopathy. One Indian businessman you would love to start a company with?
Alia Bhatt.
Okay. One global icon, international icon, not Indian, you would love as your next celebrity client?
I think first has to be Shah Rukh Khan. Once
Okay.
Shah Rukh Khan happens, then I will think global.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Right back in the studio with more updates.
Superb, superb. Thank you so much, Dr. Sid. That was really informative, very inspiring. Pleasure to have you.
I said so many things which we're going to cut out, but thank you so much for having me here. Yeah. It was nice. I finally got to talk to somebody who's smart, who knows what's what, and I just hope we stay in touch.
I'm very flattered. This was a great interview, very informative, and the parts we cut out, we'll make them available at a price. Keep watching Buzz by the Bay for more such inspiring people.